Good evening, everyone, and welcome back again to RFC Podcast. We're now in our fifth episode this third season. We had a great start for season 3 with our international guests. During our last episode was Dr. Jeffrey Chu, RFC, chairman of IARFC Asia. Since I wasn't able to join, Kuya Ryan, can you share some of the things that you learned from there?
Actually, he reminded me of a lot of things actually. So, well, basically he shared about opportunities that can be found during challenging times. He's thriving right now because of the pandemic, and he's even seeing more people. And he also explained how important it is to understand the different colors of money. So, for you guys who are medyo na-intrigue ano ba yung colors ng money, then look back to that episode. Yan, it's in our Facebook page. So, how they work, how do you unlock more money with existing assets? Yan, ang dami niyang shinare. And he really poured out and shared his wisdom from, imagine, 39 years of financial planning experience. Grabe. Edad mo na yata yun dyan or close na sa... Well, matanda ng konti siguro sa iyo, no, Jan? And then, having him on the podcast allowed me to reminisce back in the day when I first took my course. He was our teacher for, I think, for the first 2 or 3 days. Grabe, ang dami namin natutunan. Natapos niya yung mga modules na hawak niya, and he even taught more. Meron siya mga sariling slides niya na shinare aside from what was part of the course. So, yun yung mga natutunan ko sa kanya.
And I guess the most important key takeaway we had in our conversation with Dr. Chu is that even during this time of the Black Swan, it's not really problematic. It's not a problematic period. We should look at it as a season of opportunities. Because when things happen, then we should find opportunities in certain niche markets where we can offer our assistance and our help as financial consultants. So he has been getting a lot of calls, a lot of inquiries. He has been closing a lot of deals. So we should learn from his experience that, hey, even if you're stuck at home and binge watching on Netflix, on View, or on iFlix, hey, connect with your client in some other way. There's Zoom, there's Viber, there's FaceTime. Connect with them because maybe it's that call that they need. They have suddenly realized, because of this situation we're in, that they have to secure their future, that they have to review their insurance policies, they have to review their health plans. So these are opportunities. Just keep touching base with your client. That's what he did. He kept touching base with his clients, just asking, how are you? Are there anything? Is there anything that's bothering you, or are you bothered with our current situation? So he made this pandemic as his opportunity to grow, both in terms of his business, in terms of his personal life, in terms of his depth of relationship with clients. So these are times of great opportunities. So we should not forget that.
All right, thank you for sharing that, Sir Boyet and Kuya Ryan. Ako, madami yata akong babalikan. Pandemic, we can be successful with it, and naintriga ako dun sa sinabi mo, Kuya Ryan, about the colors of money. Because as of this moment, we are still recording a lot of stuff, kaya ini-edit pa po namin yon. So I haven't seen that. Our podcast episodes are shown every second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. That is why it's important to follow us in Facebook. Episodes are pre-recorded and broadcasted through Facebook Live.
And Coach John, you mentioned na mismo, di ba? The good news is we now have the RFC Tuesday podcast Rewind. So in between the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month. So yung mga weeks na wala tayo, meron tayong i-broadcast ulit na live mga previous episodes. So don't forget to like and subscribe the IARFC Philippines Facebook page para ma-notify kayo kapag magla-live na yung Rewind. Yan. This show is powered by IARFC PH, the Philippine chapter of the International Association of Registered Financial Consultants. The IARFC Philippines is an association dedicated to the craft of financial consulting. The association is the sole organization authorized to conduct the RFC conversion course as well as continuing education in the field of financial consulting. We are your hosts. I am Kuya Ryan Daes, a registered financial consultant, a chartered wealth manager, and a registered estate planner.
I'm Coach John Dizon, a registered financial consultant and an NLP life coach from NLP Manila.
I'm Boyet Benavides, a registered financial consultant, a trust professional, and now co-host, co-anchor for the RFC podcast. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. And special thanks to Ms. Susan Capa of IARFC USA Public Relations, who helped us set up and arrange Season 3 so that we are now international. And of course, special thanks as well to our interim video editor on loan out of love and Mr. Bong Escobar. He has been with us since episode number 1.
Alam nyo, guys, namimiss ko na rin yung ibang co-host natin, sina Francis, sina Louie, sila Andre. Guys, I hope you can drop by kahit in the background if you're trading or perhaps sa class ni Louie kung pwede. And all of our watchers in the podcast, thank you for joining us tonight. We hope na marami kayo matututunan.
Oh, thank you for being with us since the start of the podcast and for watching out for Season 3 and continuing to watch us until today.
Yes.
Yep. And do attend our continuing education rin for those who are members, and for those who are not yet, madami kayong namimiss. Ayan.
Kaya contact Arlene to renew your membership so you won't miss out on anything.
Yes. Hindi enough na mag-take ka ng course. Dapat nagre-renew ka ng membership so that you can join the free CEs. That is a benefit of being an active member. So again, please do not forget to put your questions in the chat box below. We'll be watching with you live when the show is broadcasted in Facebook Live. So kung meron kayo itatanong, huwag kayong mahiya. Sasagutin po natin yan, or if you need some clarification.
So tonight, again, we have a very special guest, si Ronnie Kmore from Kmore Sports Risk Management. He's also an RFC. What's very interesting about Ronnie is that he's a former professional football player. When he attended Washington State University, he started his career in banking after retiring from the Football League in 2007. And after banking, it led him to New York Life, where he transitioned as an independent insurance advisor in 2010, focusing on athletes. So this passion led him to learn more and practice more comprehensive financial planning. He now currently owns Kmore Sports Management, which is based in downtown Newark, New Jersey, with a location in New York City as well. But he has spread all over the US, from New York to California, just focusing on athletes. That's his niche market. So without further ado, we welcome Ronnie Kmore to tonight's podcast. Welcome, Ronnie.
Okay, so first, we'd like to know, how did you start?
Okay, so I started my career in finance, working at a bank. Immediately upon my retirement from pro football, I got into banking And it was there where I learned about mortgages, interest rates, investments, retirement accounts, insurances, and et cetera. And so I began to think to myself, well, none of my buddies that I played football with understands this world. And I had a revelation, per se, of combining the sports world with the financial world. And so right after I left banking, I joined New York Life, and I dived all into learning about financial planning, annuities, life insurance, estate planning. And that led me where I am today. Back in 2009, I believe it was, I opened up my own company, K Moore Sports Risk Management, because I wanted to focus on athletes, because there was an article that came out in ESPN that 80% of athletes are broke within 3 years of their retirement. And so that gave me a passion and a burden to want to help these young men be stewards over what they've been blessed with.
Wow. I think
Oh,
that
that's great.
answers how did you get into the niche already, because it's right there in front of you, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay. Tell me about this team approach philosophy that you have.
Yes. So athletes are very used to teamwork. You know, if you play football, there's a quarterback, you got your offensive line, your running back, your wide receivers, etc. Then if you're on defense, you have your defensive line, your linebackers, your secondary. So athletes understand team concept really well, right? And in the team concept, you have to be selfless and not selfish, meaning you have to look out for the team's best interest. And so when I talk about a team approach, that is a board of professional advisors. You have your accounting firm, your law firm, your investment management firm, your risk management firm, and your sports agent. All of us are supposed to put our needs aside to look out for the better of the team, which is actually the player and their families. So I believe that these athletes, with the amount of money that they earn, they need expert advice. You know, if you're going to get a trust in place or estate planning done, I believe that that person should be an expert in that respective field. Athletes have to pay taxes in every state that they play in. And if they go outside of the US to play a game in Europe or something, that's another tax scenario. So if you work with an accountant, he should be an expert in this regard, and so on and so forth. So when I talk about the team approach, it's just a board of advisors put together that are experts in their respective field to serve the athletes as well as their families.
Wow.
You kind of work in banking, in investments, and in insurance, and you've met different types of people with different types of needs. How would you say athletes are different, or what would be the specific needs of athletes in terms of financial planning, in terms of assisting them in planning for their future?
Yes, athletes have a very unique scenario because they have the highest paid temp job in the world. I like to tell these young men, you'll never meet a 65-year-old NFL or NBA player, because that just don't exist, right? So
Yeah.
I believe in a lot of capacities, financial planning is the same for athletes as it is for others, but the dynamic of they earn a lot of money in a little bit of time. So if you're working with a doctor or a corporate executive, more than likely they're going to work for the next 30, 40 years, et cetera. Whereas though the average NFL career is literally 3.5 years. Now you get some people like Tom Brady that plays 12, 13 years, but the average career is only 3.5 years. So guys are retiring at 30 years old, 29, 28,
Wow.
32. If you look at their life expectancy, still another 40 something years before they're expected to pass away, right?
Yeah.
And so if you've accumulated $30 million and you're retiring at 30 years old, how is that money going to last you, considering inflation, the time value of money, as well as any potential tax law changes? So that's a very unique risk that, working with athletes presents. how does that wealth last until their age of life expectancy? And that's why I believe you need to have experts, because if an athlete take a loss in the market, you know, how is that going to throw off the plan with the expectancy of how long that they expect to live, you know, kind of post-retirement? So there's a saying that says NFL stands for not for long. So athletes can't take risks. And I believe that that's why a lot of young men have lost money in the past, because you can get cut at any time. You can get injured at any time. So if I got a $10 million contract and I tear my knee up, well, I no longer have a $10 million contract, but I probably begin to make $10 million decisions. I bought a $3 million home. I bought a $300,000 Bentley, and now that income stream is gone. How do my advisors deal with that? So that's a very unique challenge of working with athletes, also managing their families' expectations. A lot of them do support their families, but you know, to the extent of, okay, I know you want to support your family, but yet at the same time, this money has to last. So it is some complexities that doesn't exist according to the traditional planning space. And that's why I think athletes need to work with those experts.
With the current situation now in collegiate sports, would you say that they should start early on at that stage already? Since I think most of them would already be starting to receive compensation at that early stage.
Yes, I truly believe that they should be educated, you know, as soon as possible. With my approach, 100% of the times, I have to have parents involved. Can you imagine, and I got this situation now, a 19-year-old kid signs a $34 million contract, and now he's got to talk about estate planning, right? So how many 19-year-olds want to sit in the conversation and talk about a trust and beneficiaries, et cetera?
Yeah.
And that's where I lean on mom and dad, you know, empower the player by empowering his parents. And so as we educate mom and dad on what estate planning is, why it's important, if we look at the estate tax laws here in the US, they're going to sunset in 2026 down to 5 million. Biden is trying to lower them now. So how does that affect this 19-year-old that's worth 34 million? So without the parents involved, that scenario would be very difficult. So I do think they need to be educated early on. And also that should be inclusive of mom, dad, in the family.
That's a great idea. I mean, including the parents in the planning stage, and I mean, educating the entire family on what to do when somebody, one of their kids, start getting compensation for being in college sports. I guess it also encourages the parents themselves to also think about their future.
Yes.
Right. So you capture both the young kid, the college kid who's starting up and planning, and then you have, say, people who are in their intermediate stage in life and are already starting to plan for their retirement. So it's a good idea. I mean, all the family members see what's happening and the benefit that it will bring towards securing the future of not just one person, but their family as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
You mentioned a while ago, before we did the interview, that there was a law that was passed that even college students can now be compensated. You mentioned that a while ago. So does that mean that you, as early as in their college days, you try to catch these athletes already as your clients?
Yes. Well, a lot of the highly regarded college athletes, you know, they do take out insurance policies. So, you know, I had one kid took out a $10 million insurance policy. Wow. That only thing that would have kept him from getting drafted to the NFL was either death or disability, right? And so Lloyd's of London do have a product where the highly regarded college athletes can protect themselves against injury. So I've been assisting student athletes in that regard since 2010. making sure that they got the right injury protection, etc. But as you just mentioned, as of July 1st, the NIL bill was passed, which is name, image, and likeness. And here in the United States, there was a lot of people that was disgruntled because the universities are making millions of dollars and the kids weren't getting anything. So they passed a law where now the kids can actually earn money. So to your point, that puts the kids in a position where they have to be educated a lot sooner. And certainly that's what we endeavor to do. And my approach always is wherever I've worked with athletes before, so if it's at one specific university, I just try to remain planted there and set up what I like to call a parent advisory board. So if there was one family that got drafted from this school that I work with, I want that family to be the light or the example for the next people that are coming up behind them. And athletes are very close knit. So it's easy to kind of get the word out. Okay, here's Ronnie. He's my financial consultant. Here is how he educated me. And I suggest he do the same for you. So that's really my marketing tool. It's really just the families that I've already worked with and empowered, just kind of leveraging my relationship with them and try to get them to be a testimony of the importance of having things in order.
Ronnie, we all know that there are great athletes and there are star athletes as well. Or I think they're called talented athletes. What are the are there challenges in managing these types of people? Because for sure, egos are big when you're handling stars, right? So how do you approach them? How do you get them to agree with you perhaps, or how do you service these people?
Yes, I think, I would like to revert to a Bible proverb that says, in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And so when, you're working with these young men, I think, Ryan, you're right, that sometimes there's egos, right? I have a very, very popular NFL player. He hangs out with movie stars. He hangs out with the rapper Drake. I mean, the guy is a superstar. He signed a $100 million contract. Wow. And the only time he answers his phone is while doing FaceTime. Me, I don't FaceTime. But it goes back to the scenario of that's the importance of having mom and dad present as a part of the board of advisors, right? Because mom would tell them, hey, you remember I used to change your diapers, right? So, you may be, way up there, but you got to listen to me. And so it's just an unbelievable dynamic because, yes, these kids are kind of spoiled at times. They're used to having what they want when they want it. So, if they want a Bentley, they just go get it. If they want a $10 million house, they just go get it. If they want a line of credit from a bank, they just go get it. And sometimes life doesn't work that way, certainly not financial planning. If you need life insurance, you got to go get an examination and you got to go through underwriting, right? So oftentimes you have to set an example and you have to be willing to have a little bit of confrontation, meaning you can't just be a yes man. Okay, I want a Bentley, I want a Ferrari, I want this, I want that. Somebody has to say, well, you can only drive one car at a time, right? And so I believe, you have to have a little backbone dealing with those type of young men. But I also think that that would allow them to respect you because 90% of people around them are just going to cater to them. Whatever they say, they're going to do. I'm just the opposite. I do what the young people here in America call keep it real. And I tell them, listen, you got 4 girlfriends. That's not a good thing, right? You got 5 vehicles, they depreciate soon as you pull them off the lot. And so I just try to have conversations that would be in the kids' best interest, but I certainly need the help of mom and dad.
So I guess that answers the question that if they think about their future at all when you get them signed? I guess you're their voice of reason in things, right? So that's where your being a minister comes in, I suppose.
Yes. And there was a book that I read. I'm sure you guys heard of it, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective
Oh
People.
yeah.
And one of those principles is to begin with the end in mind. And so the moment that my clients get drafted, I'm already, talking to them about how do you want the end to look. And a lot of the young men will tell you, I want to take care of my family. I want to save for my future wife and children. And if I retire from the NFL with $10 million, I'll be just fine. Okay, if that's your goal, here is how we can help you get there. And so we try to encourage that they think about the end at the very beginning.
Isn't it a bit of a challenge, Ronnie, especially for young ones, especially earning with millions at such a young age, when in the past, like they didn't earn any. Like this is the
Yes.
first time they held money, right? So
Yes.
just wanna go, spend it. So is it hard?
Yes. Yeah, I would say that I have a word that I like to use with working with a lot of the athletes, and it's not derogatory per se, but they're very unsophisticated, right? So if I'm doing the financial plan for a hedge fund manager or a corporate CEO, those individuals are normally a lot older. They've been through college, they're educated, at a high level. And so when you're engaged in conversation with them, it's, a little bit more sophisticated. But athletes oftentimes, they're in their early 20s, some of them are still teenagers when they get drafted, and yet they have the same amount of wealth as the hedge fund manager or corporate CEO, but they're not as sophisticated. They're out playing video games, they're out, ordering pizza with their buddies, and sometimes they just really don't know what to do, which is what lead them to spend a lot of money,
Right.
I had a mom call me and say, Ronnie, my son just bought a necklace and I need insurance for it. I'm like, okay, that should be simple. The kid wasn't even drafted yet. I said, that should be pretty simple. I said, just send me over the information and I'm sure I could point you in the right direction. The necklace was about $85,000. And then she said, he have a bracelet as well. And then my heart dropped. I'm like, man, he got another piece of jewelry. But these young men oftentimes just casually spend money without any rhyme or reason. But the money that they make sometimes, 85,000 may only feel like $85, to be honest with you.
Right.
And so you have to change these young men mindset and the way that they think about money. And so, yes, it does present a challenge because they're unsophisticated. But if you plant that seed and you continue to plant the seed, I've seen young men grow over time and turn into those young businessmen that they need to be.
Okay, an average of 3.5 years of just working in the NFL. After that,
Yes.
I just want to make it clear: do they work or do they just simply retire for the rest
I'll
of their
say
life?
that most of them do find another career. And
Mm.
honestly, I know quite a few retired NFL players that actually got into finance, believe it or not. I know one retired player, he's with Janney Montgomery Scott, which is a wealth management firm. I'm very close with him. And then there's another retired NFL player, he's with Wells Fargo as a
Mm.
financial advisor. So a lot of these young men, even though they got a huge nest egg set aside, they do get into the working field. And I encourage that, which is why you also got to encourage them to take their academics seriously. When you're at the university, you're playing football, basketball, what have you, even though you're going to get drafted, one thing that's a guarantee, every current athlete is going to one day be a former athlete. And when you're a former athlete, you need a real skill set. You can't just go somewhere and say, oh, how you doing, Wells Fargo? I'm a former running back. It's like, okay, well, what's your skill set? Do you got a Series 7, 65? So we try to encourage the young men to take their academics seriously. And I do plan on starting a pipeline, that allows athletes to get into the business world of sports. A lot of these young men understand it. They've been through it. So I do believe that if there's a proper platform created, they can help the next generation by firsthand experience.
It's great insight. Those are very great insights, Ronnie. So I was just wondering, you were a former professional football player, you became a banker, then you moved into the life insurance industry and
Yes,
learned a
sir.
lot of things about personal finance. But how were you able to get involved with the IARFC?
Okay. I like to read industry books. So I read a book, I believe, by Marv Feldman. It was called Man on a Mission. It's a really good book for financial service professionals. And so I'm reading the book, and I think he had a CFP, a CHFC, and then he also was a RFC. And I was familiar with those designations, but I said, well, let me take a deeper look into the RFC. And I looked at the website, familiarized myself with the integrity of the RFC and just what they stand for. And I said, wow, this is an organization that I would love to be a part of. So it was because of me reading that book that I found out what the RFC was, and certainly glad to be connected, glad to be a part of the organization.
You already had the banking skills, right? What made you like, why go still on the IRFC?
Yeah, because I just believe the ethics that it stands for, and not only that, the education that it promotes. You know, you got to do X amount of units every couple of years or so. And I believe that is what enables us to be experts. You know, I truly believe in continuing education. Laws are always changing. You know, tax laws are always changing. And I do believe that if we're going to be those consultants, we have to be challenged to stay on top of our game. So that was one of the deciding factors as well that made me want to join.
Right. It's actually like the team approach philosophy that you said earlier, but this team actually, because we're really busy serving our clients, right? So other experts are there to help us with our continuing education so that we get updated with what's happening with the current laws. So yeah, this one, the continuing education is really important to me as well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Anything else that RFC has helped you?
Yeah, just you know, being the support and also connecting with people like yourselves. You know, Susan has been awesome. You know, ever since I've interviewed with them, and I'm blessed about the article that comes out every so often, reading what other advisors are doing, and just feeling that sense of connectivity. Obviously, running my own business, it gets lonely sometimes in the field. You know, you're kind of like, man, who can I talk to that can relate? So just, you know, look at what some of the other advisors are doing, being inspired, being encouraged by them. That's also been helpful as well.
On a personal note, Ronnie, what drives you? What keeps you going and waking up every morning, doing what you do, and connecting with people, connecting with athletes, connecting with clients? What inspires you?
Yep. So once again, gotta revert back to the Bible. There's a Bible verse that says, if you have 100 sheep and one goes astray, you'll leave the 99 and go after that one. And so every day I'm looking for that one. You know, my clients that are in the stable, they're well taken care of, but where is that one kid that needs my help? And so to me, that serves as motivation. And it's just amazing sometimes the phone calls that I get. Just got a call on Monday, NFL player that received what's called the franchise tag. In this 1 year, he's going to make $10 million. And his mom reached out to me. She says, I'm trying to put like a team together around my son. I said, well, you're at the right place. I can certainly help you assemble that. So just constantly looking for that one kid to inspire, to be a blessing to. That's what keeps me going. And, you know, this doesn't even feel like work when I'm in that frame of mind. I'm almost evangelizing in a sense, but that's what keeps me going.
Passion and love for what you do, and of course, love for the people that you work with and you work
Yes,
for.
sir.
That drives
Yes,
you.
sir.
That's great.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
great. Wonderful.
Wow. You're like Jesus Christ looking for the lost sheep.
Amen. Yes, indeed.
God will surely bless you for helping all of them.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, our time is almost up. For the last words, what kind of encouragement would you like to give for those who are in the financial service profession?
I would just tell them that they're in one of the best professions in the world, the best, in my opinion. I believe that the impact that they can make on a life of a family, on an individual, on a business, I believe it's truly awesome. And I think that this time of pandemic and coronavirus, it really taught us how important our roles are. You know, there was a lot that transpired. You know, some people lost their lives. Some businesses had to close their doors. Some businesses had to downsize and still, you know, provide employee benefits. And without us, where do they have to go to, right? And so I would tell a young person that it's truly a selfless job, and you can earn, you know, pretty good living as well at the same time as you're serving other families and people. But that would be my encouragement. I'll certainly tell them that it's not always easy.
Yeah.
Certainly when you're trying to build and grow, you may encounter some challenges. And, you know, I would just tell them to look for a good mentor and somebody that can educate them. But I will say that this is the best industry in the world, in my humble opinion.
Yes.
Very
Ronnie,
true.
just a follow-up question from the conversation earlier.
Yes.
When you talk about sports, normally you talk about men's sports.
Yes.
Have you started venturing into also women's sports like the
Yes.
WNBA? Because they are also coming into the fray of popularity among the people, and then you have a lot of sponsorships and
Yes.
a lot of young women from the universities are also being recruited into the sporting world.
Yes.
Do you think that you would be venturing into serving them as well?
Absolutely. Yep. And I already appointed someone to spearhead that per se. That's Michelle Strobel. She's also an RFC. We do want to expand in women's sports. Obviously, there's women now who are former athletes that are becoming general managers. Venus and Serena Williams, they're part owner of the Miami Dolphins. So I do think as this world evolves, women are going to need the same level of education. And so to answer your question, absolutely. We're looking to work with track and field female athletes. We're talking to some currently, and certainly soccer as well as basketball.
Oh, that's great. For sure, Ronnie will be there when they start venturing into new businesses, or even for those who are starting up, looking forward to growing what they can save for the short period of time that their careers will be blooming.
Absolutely.
Pero any quick learnings from us? Ayan. Ano ba ang mga natutunan natin for today, for tonight?
Well, ako, I learned that you can't start too soon, basically. It's good that you start educating people young, same way that Jamie Bossy started educating her children about money.
Right.
So I guess that's also part of, that should be the foundation of how we grow children. Me, it's a bit too late for my grown children, but I can still start with my little one, teaching her how to handle, well, the value of money, that you can just push buttons and buy things without having money. And especially what money can buy, how important it is to understand na before you buy something, you have to work for it. And I guess even from what Ronnie has been saying, this is the problem with most of the young athletes that he's been handling. They don't understand the difference between $85 and $85,000. So if you don't catch them young and they don't understand how money works, then they'll just throw it away. So I guess that's the importance of what we do. as financial consultants. We really have to keep on educating people, even if we don't get paid at all, actually. So I guess I hope we can still do this podcast because I hope we're reaching more people with this, because we can only touch one soul at a time, right? When we're meeting face to face with people. And Ronnie has inspired me to really start them young, basically. Even looking for young clients, educate them. Actually, I have one already. He's a YouTuber. So it's a new world here for YouTubers, because there are many YouTube content providers here in the Philippines. And I just don't know how to enter that sphere. But I guess if they can be educated, they'll even have more money, diba? And they'll retain more money and wealth. So Ronnie also showed how important it is that the team approach is really very important. Here in the Philippines, we're used to being lone rangers here. One financial consultant does investment, he does insurance, he does estate planning, one-man team. But I guess understanding the value of experts who really know their stuff in their specialized field could help the client be more efficient in everything. We just have to orchestrate everything pretty much like a talent manager, right, Ronnie?
Yes.
So those are my learnings, John.
It's important to bring together your trusted circle of experts
Yes.
to build the financial plan and to build the plan for your client's future. And of course, the most important thing is for the young people is Ronnie has taught us, bring mom and dad in.
Yeah.
Bring the family into the planning stage so that everybody understands what's going to happen in the future. And I mean, if people in a family think together and work together or with one mind together, I mean, there's more chances of success, and everybody will be successful, not just one person.
Absolutely.
Right. So our time is up. So my quick learning, I would just like to thank you, Ronnie, because you are like a parent to these young people already, because they have been given wings to fly, but you ground them back here on earth and tell them the reality that they have to save and they have to take care. And this is not going to be like your forever work. Money is not going to be flowing that much forever. And you cannot go do NFL when you're already 60 years old. So I think you're doing a great work with grounding them. Okay, Kuya Ryan, may you remind our audience about the questions.
Yeah. I would just like to remind all of our podcast watchers that you can send your questions in, although these videos, these podcast episodes are pre-recorded, but we will be watching with you. So you can post questions, comments. If you have things that you need to clarify, feel free to type it in the chat box below. So, and I also want to remind everyone, don't forget to like and subscribe to our Facebook page so that you would be notified of our Tuesday Rewind. We'll be playing consistently past episodes so that you will get the notifications. Sometimes the videos get drowned out with the comments and the messages in the Facebook page. So if you want to be notified, please do not forget to like and subscribe to the page.
So, Kuya Ryan and John, we've come to an end again for our Tuesday evening podcast. So, on behalf of our executive producer, Miss Grace De Vera Escobar, and of course, our back-end international co-producer and teleprompter, Miss Susan Capa, this is the RFC podcast saying,
it is better to be in the know than to be the last to know.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Greeting,
God bless us.
everyone.
Stay safe.
All right.